Welcome back to the channel, it's 9, and today we have quite a lot of PlayStation news to go over, starting with a big rumor about the PlayStation 5 Pro, and then we're going to jump into this new studio acquisition that I'm sure you guys have heard about by now. Now, before we get into that, if you have not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. Now, let's kick it off with this PlayStation 5 Pro rumor. So this rumor comes from Red Gaming Tech, and they say that the PlayStation 5 Pro is to launch by 2024 with several improvements. We're talking about 2 times the performance in standard raster and 2.5 times in ray tracing. It's designed to provide a better experience with PSVR titles, advanced reconstruction techniques, but not the same as AMD's FSR2. Instead, it will be Sony's own research. It could also have Zen 4 cores, 5nm possibly with 4nm according to their sources. So this is a pretty bold claim. There's a lot being said here and there's a lot to extract. Now, why could this possibly be true? Let's explore that before we talk about why I am kind of skeptical about this. The timing lines up with the mysterious prototype consoles that were shipped in November. If you remember, we were talking about that previously, how there were a lot of consoles being shipped and they were being titled as prototype consoles. So it was questionable why that was happening. Could that be PSVR 2? Could it be PS5 Pro? And if you remember, Moore's Law also talked about a PS5 Pro previously, and it's questionable that this could actually be the case. I'm starting to think that it's more and more likely that we could see a PS5 Pro just based on the fact that there's a lot of smoke around this. It kind of makes sense, especially now that we're also hearing rumors that Xbox is working on hardware as well. And naturally, Sony's not going to want to be behind them too much when it comes to the hardware side of things, because that is a narrative that they want to also control at the same time, right? Just to say that, you know, if Xbox is going to make a half-step hardware, I think Sony's going to go down the same road, and maybe they intended to do that in the first place, but we have discussed how this could also just be unusual based on the fact that, you know, the PS4 Pro had a purpose. There was a reason why they made the PS4 Pro, and the PS5 is not in the same circumstances. So let's talk about why I think this could possibly not be the case. Like, it almost seems like these statements are like obvious statements, right? With improvements. Obviously, it's going to be better. Obviously, it's going to make better performance for the PSVR 2, right? Because that was kind of also the reason, in a way, behind PSVR 1 with the PS4 Pro. So it's almost questionable. People are going to assume that those are things that are realistic, that are going to be the case. And then there's the talk about basically when it'll launch. It almost fits in the same time frame from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro. So it really adds that question of, okay, is this just trying to repeat what's going to happen? Is this kind of what the whole rumor is made up of? Or is this a realistic rumor made from real sources? It's always questionable, right? We always have to take it with some salt, as they say, or just, you know, take it with caution. Like, we know that these things are in fact, they're rumor, and we have to kind of like acknowledge that, yeah, these things do kind of line up, right? When we talk about, okay, the improvements are kind of obvious, ray tracing and all that, right? And then the other improvements that are obvious is the fact that the PS4 Pro is made for the PSVR 1, and then the PS5 Pro would naturally be made for the PSVR 2, right? It's kind of like, it makes sense. There's a lot of question about this. I think there's skepticism in it for me. But at the same time, I could see why this could be true. I would love to hear from you guys. What do you make of this rumor? Do you think it's realistic? Do you think this is going to be the case? Or do you think that this is all questionable? Let me know down below. Next up, we're going to talk about the new studio PlayStation has acquired. Sony's officially purchased Haven Studio. They are working on a AAA multiplayer game and described in quotes, a vision to build a systemic and evolving world focused on freedom, thrill, and playfulness that will keep players entertained and engaged for years. So what does this mean? Well, it's a live service game, number one, and is likely relying heavily on community and interactions together within the community. So that's something that we can expect, and it's going to be one of those titles that lives on for a long time, just built on the community and probably updating it over time, as we do see with most live service games. The other thing is they must be really impressed with what Haven Studio is doing. I mean, they just bought them and they haven't put out a game yet. So whatever they're seeing is good enough to them. Whatever they're seeing is very promising to them. And I feel like at the end of the day, that might be enough for them. And it kind of gives me hope to think that Haven Studio is working on something very promising. It's hard to say, right? We can't just assume that they must be working on greatness. We don't know. We genuinely don't know what they're capable of. We genuinely don't know what we're going to see. Yeah, Jade Raymond had a hand in Assassin's Creed, but I feel like, you know, it's a different team, guys. It's a different team. We're going to see something different. This isn't Assassin's Creed. This is going to be something different, especially with the way they describe it. So we got to be realistic. We got to be practical. We got to manage our expectations and wait to see what they have to provide before we just assume that everything's going to be greatness. I have high hopes for this. I am optimistic, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it's going to be the greatest thing ever made, because we genuinely don't know anything about their game other than the little tidbits that we have. So just being realistic, and I want to kind of convey that to you guys too, is like, you know, manage your expectations. Don't assume that everything is going to be the greatest thing ever made because it's coming out of PlayStation Studios. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. I would love to hear from you. What do you think of this PlayStation 5 Pro rumor? What do you think of this new studio acquisition? Are you excited for Haven Studios' next game? How do you feel? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you have not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Links will be in the description. And share this video with a friend. I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care.